Shalom, family. Shalom. Hopefully, everyone is doing wonderful today. All right, family. The saga continue with this uh, protest in the NFL. You know, the thing for me is again, family. Normally don't even worry about issues like this. And the thing that's disheartening for me is we as a people, we as a nation, and I say we as a nation, I'm talking about so-called black people, so-called Negroes. Because again, you see, I mean, we could go to books after books to see that these people never intended us to be part of their society. You know, and again, if you're asking people to give you respect and you're asking people for equality, when you ask somebody for something, they have the right to turn you down. So for me, family, so for me, you know, I try to have as minimal contact as possible. And the problem, family, is if we was to come together, and the sad thing about it is that there's many white people that put out videos and say the same thing. It's like certain white people are waiting on us to come together and wake up because they're tired of the bullshit that the country is not only doing to us, but what, what the country is doing to them as well. Prophetically, some of these people know who we are already, prophetically. Scripturally too. You know what I'm saying? So when I say prophetically, I mean scripturally as well. All that's intertwined. But the sad thing for us as a people is, most of the people who are in what they call the truth or the awakening or what have you, a lot of these brothers are puffed up and self-exalting and self-righteous and stuff like that. There's no humility when it comes down to dealing with each other. Like they say, Hamashiach say, you'll know them by the fruit. You'll know them by the love that they have for one another. But we have so much strife and so much contention just within ourselves, what I'm saying, as a people. And amazing to me is I kind of saw it and understood the spirit dealing when I was in Christianity or in the so-called worldly ideology. But coming to what we call the truth, I see a lot of brothers bringing the same baggage and same garbage over into this new spiritual awakening, and it's sad, man. It's sad. But anyway, I'm pretty sure the Most High has a reason why things are like that, and it's just up for us to figure them out and humble ourselves and allow the Most High's work to be done. But anyway, family, with that, because I don't want to digress. Looking at what's going on as a people, us as a people, what's going on. Here it is. We have about 75, maybe 80% of the NFL is so-called black men. And again, I don't know these brothers. I don't know their hearts. But if they really wanted dramatic change or instant change, all you got to do is what's obvious. Just stop playing. Just stop playing. Just walk off. Like I seen a video that went viral with a bunch of Mexicans walked off a job because I think two of their brothers, fellow Mexicans, brethren got arrested or fired or something to that effect. So whatever. But all these guys got together and walked off and shut the whole plant down. That's the power these brothers have in the NFL. But you know what? The spirit that they have, most of them are about their stats, about their paycheck. And again, I'm not saying not to feed your family. I'm not saying that at all. I would. It would be fair to say that every man should feed his family. You should, as a man, you should feed your family. But as a man also, you should have a voice. You should have a voice. And the reason why some of these white folks criticize you is because what they're saying in essence, shut up and play football or do what you're gonna do. You know, most white people are like, you know, dude, if you're gonna protest, man, go ahead and do it. If you're gonna protest. Leave. Get off the field. Do what you're gonna do. Shit, get off the pot. You know, you have some bigots that are like, well, you know, all you niggas need to do is just shut up and play some football. That's all I care. I don't care about nothing else. They could kill you. They could do. We're not even talking about those people. But the spirit of most of these other white folks that really get it, they're like, man, dude, get some balls. Walk off. Because again, what's sad is as a people. And again, I want you guys to get this. When we have Negroes, and I'm talking about guys who played the game, who are retired now, and they'll talk about, well, you know, what we would have did this, we would have did that. You ain't there. Either you support the brothers or don't. Either support them or not. Forget about what you did in the past, because do you remember when the black football players protest and they walked off when in Louisiana when certain hotels wouldn't they wouldn't let them stay in certain hotels back, I think like back in the late 60s or something like that, you know? So these guys got together and they were like, you know what, we ain't playing. They shook them up. So my point is, the power is within the numbers. You know, again, you know, a lot of these people want to make it about the flag. They want to make it about the national anthem. They want to make it about the veterans. You know, I myself had a conversation with, a conversation with another brother, and a so-called white gentleman walked up into our conversation, and he changed the narrative. That's what these people do. They want to change the narrative. But irregardless of whatever you want to make the narrative is, if they have that right or that freedom, again, when you're asking people for rights or freedom, they got the right to turn you down. So I want you to understand what you're asking for, what you're doing. Just do it. Don't worry about what they're gonna say. Just do it. But anyway, gotta try to change the narrative. But when you inform yourself with information, you can shut most of these people up, because, again, the general consensus is through media that these people are so smart. That's what they tell you. These people are no smarter than you, man. You know, and then when you talk about morality, when you look at the history of this country, how can anybody talk about being moral when you look at the history of the country? I want you to think about that. Empower yourself, brother. Empower yourself, sister, with knowledge, with wisdom. But anyway, like I told this gentleman, so-called white gentleman, sure, you want to change the narrative? Let's entertain that. Let me entertain that. Let's talk about that. You want to talk about the national anthem? The third verse in the national anthem talks about basically, you know, the the grave and the gloom to the slave and the hireling. You know, talking about debt to the slaves that fought against the country, you know what I'm saying? Because they wanted freedom. They even promised certain slaves that if they fought with them, they was going to free them, and they still enslaved them. People don't want to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? People don't want to talk about that. You know, this country broke every treaty that it wrote with the Native Americans. People don't want to talk about that. People don't have a moral fabric in this society at all. How can when you look back at the history of this country, you talk about morality? Again, when you're asking people who have a immoral background to give you what's given to you by God, your inalienable rights. No man can take that away from you. You give them away. You give them away. You're asking the system to protect you that don't even give two dead flies about you. Again, like I said, ask the guy, okay, you want to talk about the flag. Let's talk about the flag. You're not mad when people wave a Nazi flag and the country fought against the Nazis. You know, these guys wave these flags with the German swastika on it proudly, and the country fought against Germany. You say nothing about that. Nothing. You can't go to Germany right now and see these people in Germany wave a flag with a swastika on it. Hitler don't have a parade, a Hitler Day. You want to talk about morality? Again, but this is my point to our people. Look at who you're asking. Again, and you're asking. You're asking for something that always given to you already, that no man can take from you. What you think about that? Let's look at the Confederate flag. The North fought against the South. Again, we have a situation where people ask a certain group of people to help them fight a war and then turn around and enslave them again. This is history. People always talk about, well, that's in the past. That's what they always do. But they'll celebrate or do a reenactment of the American Revolution. They'll celebrate 4th of July. What you think about that? But same people, you're asking for something. Look at the history. Think these people gonna change? Now, don't get me wrong. Like I said before, there are white people that are tired of the system and its bullshit. They're waiting on you. That's what you don't get. Most of these people are waiting on you. But you have so much hatred for each other. You have so much hatred for one another. The people built a whole government, a whole country. Off your book. Mine's beat up. But anyway, off your Bible. I got another one down there somewhere. Off your book. Why you think they took your language? They took your culture. They start your history off with slavery. What were you before then? Who are you? They got it documented. But then when you start breaking it down, they'll tell you it don't matter. And most of our people in religion, that's how they shut down. They give you that old Jedi mind trick. Oh, it don't matter. That was in the past. And y'all fall for that. Hook, line, and sinker. Just don't get my people, man. Just don't get y'all. You know, again, I have more. Like I told the gentleman, let's talk about these things. Let's talk about the veterans. Look at all the homeless veterans. Most of these people pass these people up. Most of these people see these so-called veterans under the bridge, you know what I'm saying? Stand on the corner and need something to eat, and they won't feed them. You know what they'll say? Because the average white man say, well, he white, he could get a job just like that. Talk to some of them. They'll tell you that. But in the front you, they'll put on there for say, oh, I'm so patriotic. These people don't go down there to the VA and see these people and work out with these people or talk to them or console them. They don't. They're lying. It's faddish. Just for Veterans Day come around. Come on. I want you to think about that. Again, you want to talk about morality? The same government that talks about other countries that allegedly spray their civilian population with chemical and biological warfare, right? What about when a country infected over 300 of its servicemen that happen to be so-called black with syphilis from 1930 to 1970? So nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about that. What about how a lot of its servicemen that fought in the Vietnam War got what they call Agent Orange? when they were spraying this chemical over the jungles of of Vietnam. What about that? We don't talk about that, man. But again, it's always because when you look at the history, you look at the moral fabric. If you look up and you see the past, and you see what's going on right now, it's the same shit. But again, let me show you something, fam. Let me show you something. Because again, and I'm gonna end this here on these two verses. When you look at the system that's in place, tell you what, let's do this here. Let's go to Daniel. Let's go to the book of Daniel. Let's go to the book of Daniel. And I want to read, we're going to go to chapter 3, right? Chapter 3, start off at verse 1. Nebuchadnezzar, the king, made an image of gold. Now, remove the image of gold and think about that flag. I want you to think for 1 second. Just ride with me for a second. Just come with me for 1 second. Whose height was 3 scores cubic, or 3 scores cubic, and the breadth thereof 6 cubit. He set it up in the plain of Dura, and in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the prince, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriff, and all the rulers of the province to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. The prince, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the councils, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the province were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then a halt cry aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sounds of the cornet, flute, a harp, sabot, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. And whosoever fall not down and worship shall the same hour be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Look at that. They'll say they're not worshiping that flag. Same thing. They're the same spirit, family. Again, you know how many white people know that? They know this is scripture. They know this scripture. They know who you are. But the problem is, you don't even get who you are. You say you do, but do you really? Wow. Again, the world is waiting on you. But you keep asking people, and here it is. Again, in your book, they built up everything off you. You know, that's why when I hear these people who don't believe in the Bible, I laugh. Because the whole world set up their governments based upon you. Think about this here. And I'm going to get the next scripture. When these people, right now, even though you lost your land, your language, your culture, your heritage, and you made up one. Contrary to the Bible, you made up one. Listen to the music. Look at the way you dress. Look at the way you walk, the way you talk. These people still want to follow you. Even at your lowest state, they want to follow you. Just imagine if you come back to your glory, what they're going to do. Do you get that? And they're waiting on you. But you want to bicker and puff yourself up. But it starts with humbling yourself to who? To the Most High. Start humbling yourself. Start humbling yourself. Let's get the last scripture. Let's go to Esther. Let's go to the book of Esther. All right. Esther chapter 3, verse 1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedat, the Agagite, and advanced him, and set his seat above all the princes that were with him, and all the king's servants that were in the king's gates bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgressed thou the king's commandment? Right? Now it came to pass, when they spoke daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them. I want you to think about it now. They came to him over and over and over again, right? That they told Haman to see whether Mordecai matter would stand. For he told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath. Don't that sound familiar too? This is what your ancestors did. I just gave you two precepts. This is what your ancestors did. You don't think these people see that? You don't think these people know who you are historically? But you're asking. You're asking people, and they know who you are. They're waiting on you, really. Most of them that really notice, they're waiting on you. They're going to get in line because they don't want the judgment of the Most High. The problem is, do you want the judgment of the Most High? Because he's telling you, get your shit together. You need to come together as a family. But you keep asking people to recognize you when you're the greatest people on the planet. With that being said, peace, love, shalom.